Good morning, everybody. This is Stacy Turner with our DMOpro Zoom. Super excited about this new year. And I don't know if you guys have had a chance to work on your one word for the year and some goal setting. If not, I highly encourage you to go back and access that recording and work through all of that because it is so grounding. And I've been working through it in my mind, but not as much on paper, some on paper, but it's different when you start writing it down. So if you haven't had a chance to do that, I highly encourage you to. And so excited to see some of you that are new today. We've got some great announcements that I'll share at the end of today's Zoom. But what I wanted to talk with you guys today is about something I think we all do, which is comparison, what that looks like, and the difference between comparison and evaluation. Okay, so let's just think through. Evaluation is reviewing yourself, looking at the past year, looking at your, sort of in the past, giving an account, I guess you could say, for what you're doing with your activity, what you're doing with your time, an evaluation of your mindset, an evaluation of, what you're actually doing business-wise, how you're doing with your relationships. I think there's something really powerful about evaluation. And really what we did with the goal-setting worksheets, that is evaluation, right? Like, what is it that I'm wanting in the future? What do I want this year? What needs to change? What needs to stay the same? We have the paper that is on the monthly calendar page of our Zoom, of our DMO planner. And that is an evaluation at the end of the month or the beginning of the month. Looking back, what worked well, what didn't go well, what needs to change, what needs to be added. Just evaluating where we're at and where we're going. Something super powerful about that. No problems with that, as long as we don't start getting into the shaming, right? Or shoulding ourselves. Have you heard of that? Don't should on yourself. I should have done this. I should have done that. I mean, and sometimes in evaluating, we say, yeah, I really haven't been as active as I typically am, or, my mindset just isn't in the right spot, or this is something I want to work on. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you start going into a place of shaming yourself, that's definitely not productive and not where we need to go. And it's really important to have somebody that you can walk through something like that with, maybe someone that you trust and you love, that has your best interest at heart, somebody that's not a negative person, but is willing to just give you some honest feedback. That's a really important aspect, to have someone to bounce ideas off of. My husband is great for that. He thinks in a different way than I do, but he has my best interest at heart. He's not against me, he's for me. And I know that. It's a conversation we can have where I'm going to get some honest feedback, but in a way that's not harsh. He's really good at that. So find yourself somebody that is that way. Sometimes it's a friend, maybe your mom, who knows, but some good evaluation is good. It's positive, it's reinforcing, it's productive. It's always wise to just look back, whether you're doing that on a weekly basis, you're doing that on a yearly basis. I think, even in a month, you can't go wrong with evaluation. Now, the difference between evaluation and comparison, it's a big difference, right? If you just say the words, I would like to evaluate myself, and then say, I would like to compare myself. Not quite the same, because in comparison or comparing ourselves to somebody else, that's where it gets dangerous. And I say dangerous because we're going to walk through some places within our life, some situations, relationships. It fits everything, not just business. Have you heard the saying that comparison is like a cancer? Have you guys heard that? Mm-hmm. And there's a reason why comparison is like a cancer, because it is cancerous. Think of cancer, if left unchecked, it metastasizes. It will spread. It will go from one area of your body to another area of a body. That cancer eats away at the healthy cells and destroys those cells, and unbridled can take somebody's life, right? Comparison is that same way. If left unchecked, it spreads to other parts of our life, and then other places, other relationships. And usually it starts with ourselves. So we're going to walk through some situations, and you may have seen these situations yourself, or you've been involved with them, in different areas. But let's just say comparison of a relationship or a spouse, and the danger that of that, just that alone. So, comparing your spouse to somebody else's spouse, or your spouse to someone you meet at work, and little thoughts start coming in of, he's so considerate. I wish my husband was more considerate. Just a little thought, just a little comparison there. And then as the conversations go on, maybe the relationship starts to develop, and then you start seeing the grass is greener on the other side. I bet being with that guy would be better than with this guy that I'm with. And you can see how quickly that could change and morph really into a relationship that is not healthy and that's dangerous to your marriage. And it started with comparison, sort of an unhappiness within ourselves, right? Or within that relationship, but that comparison grew into a dangerous situation. What about comparing of stuff, even the things that we have? Facebook, social comparison, that's a really big thing. You're seeing on social media, everybody posts their happy life, their best picture, the family picture that turned out well, the pictures of their house when it's all clean. Rarely do you see someone post a picture of their messy kitchen, and you're kind of like, why'd you post a picture of your messy kitchen? Like, we don't want to see other people's mess. We want to see their pretty, right? We like the pretty pictures. We like sharing those pictures and those experiences. You share the vacation pictures of you guys standing in front of the monument, but nobody really shares the video of you hollering at the kids because they didn't have your shoes and you're about to miss the tour bus or something like that, right? Like, we share the good, but we don't always share the true, real places. And so we can easily start comparing other people's lives to our own. They've got it better. They have it easier. If my life was more like that, then I would be happy. That's why I'm saying the dangers of that comparison mindset are a real thing, and they can sneak up in a lot of different places of our life. So even comparing kids, right? So you have one child and you figure them out, sort of. By the time they're 2, you have, around there, you have another child, and you're like, look, she looks nothing like him. She looks just like this person, or, as they get older, how come they don't act anything alike, or they're completely opposite? It's like, I gave birth to 2 different kids. Oh, you did, because it's 2 different personalities, right? You don't like being compared to somebody else. Maybe you were compared to a sibling. You had a sibling that's super smart, and just everything comes really easy to them academically. And if you struggled to be compared to them, it wasn't fair. It wasn't fun. You are your own individual person. Or maybe you were the smart sibling that your other siblings got compared to you. But in any way, you can know that that's just not a positive place. So let's just talk for a second about comparison in business. A lot of times we as leaders, we want to stay positive, right? And we do. We want to stay positive for our team. And we talk about winding up, never wind down. Have you heard that before? As a leader, you don't want to fuss to your team that is, that you're leading, because it breeds discontent and discouragement. And it's always, encouraged, wind up, talk to your upline when you're frustrated. Don't talk to your downline. And I think that there's really, some positive things about that. That's important, because your mindset may be at a different place as a leader than what your team is. And you're talking to them about things that don't apply to them. It can create doubt into their mind. And then it gets them questioning, is this worth staying? Is this worth being in this business? Do I keep doing this activity? So we have to be careful with that. But yet on the other side, we can get to a place where we're just not really being real with our team. Can you sit in the frustrations of your team? Do you let them come to you and say, this is what I'm frustrated with? I don't have to always like jump into the negative conversation, which I have a tendency to do that of, yeah, it's driving me crazy too. That's aggravating me. That makes me mad, whatever it is. But I can sit in the conversation and let them be frustrated without talking them out of it right away. You don't want to just be like, oh, no, it's fine. It's going to be okay. Don't talk like that. It's going to be fine. Like sometimes our team needs to just be able to vent. And we as the upline need to give them that space to do that. That needs to be a safe place. We can't sit there too long. All right, we're in the mud. Now let's get up. It's not going to be very fun if we sit in this mud very long. Let's go wash off and work through this, right? But there is something powerful about just being able for somebody to be able to come to you and say, I'm frustrated. Same thing if you need to be able to say that to somebody, I'm frustrated. And a couple of, I would say a couple of weeks ago, I had a 3-way call with two of my upline, and I was just in a frustrated place. I knew my mindset wasn't good. Let's be honest, this last couple of years has been rough, interesting, frustrating, highs and lows like I've not experienced in business. 2020, we had lots of new customers. Everyone was interested in their health. Over the next 2 years, it was just a lot of instability. And I feel like in a lot of ways, it still is. A lot of changes with our comp plan, with our wording, just a lot of information coming in. I don't know if you guys felt that, but definitely as a leader, I felt that. Like, how do I keep up with this, with all this new coming in, and then assimilate that out into my team to make so that they have the information that they need? It was overwhelming. And maybe that's a good word for the last couple of years. Overwhelming. Would you guys agree to that? Just, it can be rough. And so, what do we do with that? What's dangerous is to start comparing, your place of frustration and thinking it's better on the other side. It's better over on that fence. It's better in that business. That product is a better option. And we've seen that even within our own company, people jumping to a different team because they're looking for something easier. They're comparing their difficult right now with the perceived ease of somebody else's business, somebody else's, I'll just go get a job. I will, we have to do what we have to do, but the comparison side of things can really be a dangerous mindset. Like I said, we often share all the good things, but not the frustrating things. Do you have a place where you can go when things get frustrated? And guys, it will. Being an entrepreneur, it's like a roller coaster. And there's a book, it's the Entrepreneur Roller Coaster. I can't think of what his name is, but it's a really good book. And it talks about that. Like if you have a job, you've got study hours, the hours are the same, the pay is the same. There's a lot of like certainty within just the clarity of what that job description is. You have ups and downs and frustrations with people, just the same if you're in a job. But sometimes we start to get into our minds, why does it have to be this hard? Why can't they, like, what don't they get? The fruit or the vegetable? Like, this isn't that difficult. What is that? Or, even comparing team members to team members. And so I just want us to be careful of that. I want you to, do some self-evaluation. And are you evaluating or are you comparing? And like I said, as leaders, we do this a lot where you see somebody at a position that you want to be at, and you just think, you know what? They have no problems. They've got it easy. They can say that because their paycheck is whatever, but you often don't see the hard that got them there. And so I want you to be careful to really check your mindset. Are you comparing your today to somebody else's future, like where they're at, not recognizing that probably where you're at, they were at the same time. They had the same difficulties, same frustrations, but you're comparing your today's to somebody else's end or 20 years. That's really not fair, right? Like, it's not fair to do that to yourself. And we just have to be super careful with that. I don't know if you guys have seen this book, and it's From Passion to Leadership. And this is a book that was written, I'll try to type it. Yeah, Darren Hardy. Somebody told me that. The roller coaster, entrepreneur roller coaster, Darren Hardy. Thank you. She said she's reading it right now. Andrea, thanks. This is a great book. This is different national marketing directors from the Juice Plus company, and they pulled their stories together chapter by chapter. And I don't know what else has pulled me out of the funk that I sort of was in, other than getting on a Zoom with my upline, going through, starting to read this book. This really shows like the depth of the struggles, the difficulties, the realness of what leadership is, the realness of entrepreneurship, of building a business. You know, when you talk about your grandparents or your parents tell you about how hard it was, you know, we had to walk in the snow uphill both ways with no snow boots to school, you know, things like that. Having been in network marketing and this company for 20 years, I can tell you things have changed. Like I could tell you some really hard things that we faxed in order forms. There was no website. In some ways, I think it was almost easier. It was just like one cassette tape. You had that, you passed it around, you talked to people, you got their order, you faxed it in, and you moved on to the next event. Sometimes the clutter of all that we have available to us, I think moves us into a place of like, we don't know where to move. We don't maybe have so much information. We're not sure which video do I use of the 200 that are out there, right? So just, you know, again, be careful with that side of it too. Excellent book. I highly recommend it. As you read through it, you realize everybody has hardships. Everybody has successes. Everybody has, you know, the ups and the downs, and it's the mountaintop experiences that we see of somebody, but you don't see the difficult climb that it took to get there, right? You just see them at the top. And I just encourage you to think that through and look into connecting with people that are going to help you walk through that hard place. I was struggling enough with not just business mindset, but just kind of an overarching negativity that I couldn't shake. Like I wasn't able to just like pull yourself out of it, Stacey. Like I was trying that and it wasn't working well. And my husband's mother is a trauma therapist, and she's just really great at helping you figure out like what are your stuck points, and then it's from a Christian perspective of really praying through those and getting those places healed. And even just 1 hour with her made such a difference. I felt so much lighter afterwards. I was able to just let go of some things in different areas of life that were just really holding me back. Having a support system like that, and she does it over Zoom. If you guys want her information, just let me know. She's fabulous. She's in Phoenix, Arizona. Her name is Trudy Johnson. Seriously, the sweetest lady ever. She's an excellent therapist, and she has her doctorate. She's really amazing. And having, you know, support like that when you need something extra that you're just not able to snap out of it, do you have somewhere to go with that? And so that's not wrong. It's smart. It's wise. We don't want to get stuck in the same place and then just spin in a cycle of, you know, dysfunction to where, you know, thoughts become actions, and often that action is pulling away from business, pulling away from relationships, and sort of going into hiding. And then relationships suffer, business suffers. You know, we don't want to get into that place. Shame causes people to hide. Think of a little kid. They do something wrong and they go hide behind the couch, or, you know, it creates denial. Even like, did you eat the cookie? Nope, I didn't eat it. They've got chocolate all over their face, you know? So you just want to make sure that we're not going to get stuck in that. And if you are stuck in that, it's okay, right? Like if you recognize, oh my gosh, that's me. Now you start evaluating, what are you going to do? Where are you going to go from here? What's your system? You know, what are your go-tos in this life to help you through those? And if you think that nobody else has that, you're comparing. because absolutely everyone does. We're going to go through those different phases. We're going to go on that roller coaster. There's times where it seems like everyone is saying yes to Juice Plus. Everyone's joining your team. They're super excited. They're ready to go forward. And there's other times where it's like the conversations are just flat. Nobody's moving forward. There's not as much engagement. Oftentimes, when I'm in that place, it's because of my mindset. It's what's going on in my head. It's affecting the tone of my voice. It's affecting the tone of the conversations. It's affecting the people that I'm attracting. It affects where I go in the conversations. It affects my confidence in the conversations. And I can already see a difference just taking some time to work through those difficult places of how it's shaping the conversations I've had even the last 2 weeks. And so I hope that you guys have some resources in your life. I hope that I can be a resource to you guys. If you need that, just reach out. Let's chat on Voxer, and I can, share with you some of the others. One of the best is really reading. Why not learn from others? They've already gone through the experience. I would rather learn from their mistakes and their successes than have to figure it out all on my own. And it's just smart. It's wise. And so I hope you guys will take some time to make sure you're feeding yourself. That personal growth side of things is so important. So I would love to hear from you guys. What is it that you do to refresh, to evaluate? Maybe it's a time you've been in a place of comparison. What did you do to get out of that? Just anything you guys want to share would be awesome.
Stacy, I will say these Zoom calls, that helps so much, but also all the books that you guys recommend, man, I write them down, and I'm not really good about sitting down and reading, but what I am really connecting with is audiobook. And so I have been, and then I can just listen to them. I can listen to them in the car. I can listen to them while I'm cleaning house. And that really that'll just kind of shake you up a little bit and kind of jolt you back to where you need to be.
Yes, I love audiobooks too. You can be multitasking, cleaning the kitchen, listening something, driving. It's an excellent way to learn as you're going along. The only place, and especially when you have little kids, that you're ever going to read a book is in the bathroom. Like, just no, it just is there. It's like the door's closed. Somebody will give you at least 10 minutes, right? If you're in there without interrupting. Not if you have little ones. Their hands are going to be under the door. Mama, I remember that too. But that's just 10 minutes a day makes a difference. Such a good point. Who else would like to share?
I'll share quickly. For me, it's getting into God's word again, because that just reframes everything. Sometimes music, certain songs I have that I just start reminding me. And like you said, evaluating, reflecting on what I've done and is it working? And sometimes just doing, I just starting this role playing in the mirror of what I am saying, how it's coming out. And so today I'm starting with my husband and asking him to evaluate, role playing back and forth, because, when you're by yourself a lot, you don't have that. So
yeah,
that's it.
Yes, that's good. You can record a message on Voxer. I don't know if you guys know this, to yourself, and then you can play it back. So in Voxer, you go into your profile, and I think it says notes or something like that. I don't know, dig around in there, and you can, send yourself a recorded message. Then you can go back and listen to it and evaluate, okay, I like what I said here, but I wasn't crazy about this. Writing out a script is okay. Write out the script and then practice it a couple times to where you're able to just speak it and not read it. The tone of your voice, those things. I love what you said about leaning into God's word. Having one of my team members, she was excellent about this, Mallory. She passed away. Sadly, we lost her a couple of years ago, but she had note cards And every day she would read them in the morning and then at night. I can't think of the word. It's not just note cards, but they were like on a ring, and she had different affirmations that she had written, different Bible verses. And it was something that she had to do to remind herself, daily, this is God's word. This is God's truth to me. This is who I am. And it was I am statements, not I will do statements necessarily, but it was positive affirmations, and how important that is. Somebody had typed out, mindset is everything. It is everything. Almost everything starts in our head. We can't do the activity if our mind isn't in the right place. It won't be as effective. Learning a new skill depends on our ability to say, I want to learn, to have an open mind, to have a open heart, to learn a new skill set or develop it, to go through the hard things. Marketing ourselves, getting ourselves out there. If you're not in the right mindset, you won't even see the opportunities. You won't hear the conversation to step into. You won't recognize the need in somebody else because you're so stuck in your own head. So all of those are excellent. Anyone else want to share?
Hi, Stacy. It's Beth.
Hey, Beth.
I just wanted to share that I'm doing this manifesting challenge right now. I don't know if you've heard of Gabby Bernstein, but she's amazing. Anyway, one of the things she was talking about just this morning was this whole concept of like, you could be feeling good, but then that whole idea that, oh, I'm not good at doing this. Start the comparing, what you were talking about, just all these fears and resistance that are in our head. And most of it is resistance based on our fears, and once you start kind of acknowledging those and getting rid of them, and really filling yourself with the energy of I can and I am, just like those affirmations, but just kind of, that's been helping me a lot. I feel like a lot of times those voices will get louder. The ones, if I'm not seeing the success I want, the voices get louder that say I'm not good enough, basically. So it's like working through that resistance because it blocks the good energy.
It does, Beth. And resistance is sort of that unseen negativity that tells you, stay in bed. You don't have to get up. I mean, just 10 more minutes. Resistance is what says, don't mention Juice Plus to her. She's going to think you're crazy. Resistance says she doesn't need this business. They make a lot of money. She's not going to be interested. When you recognize what resistance is, that's what the little things that start to hold you back. And when you give in to resistance, they start to add up. And those little things all start having a stronger pull on you than your persistence of moving forward. But once you recognize what that resistance is, and you're like, oh, that thought, that was resistance. And resistance, you don't have a place in this game. You don't get to sit at this table. I don't have to listen to your voice. Out, shove them out the door, and then replace it with a truth. And those affirmation cards can be really an important aspect to that. Like, you don't have to let every thought sit at your table. If you think of it that way, I'm at a table with 6 chairs. I'm in one of them. 5 other thoughts get to join in right now. Who do I want at the table? You can ask somebody to leave. And Beth, you mentioned a good point, like voices that, come up in thoughts. Sometimes those are implanted in our minds from someone outside of us. We didn't have any say in that, of what they said. They made bad choices. They said ugly things. They said really negative words. And those things can get planted into our minds. Again, you get to decide as an adult who gets to sit at the table. You don't have to give them the chair. Move the chair out. Kick them out of the room. Like, you don't get a place in my mind. And it takes doing the hard work of working through those things with someone else. I would say a professional that can really help you work through that. If you don't work through the hard, it's through the hard work that you really see the growth. And don't we want to be different next year, 1 year from now, next January, to be able to see growth in our life? I don't want to be the same person I was a year ago. I've learned new things. I've had new experiences. I've worked through things. I've grown. That's where I want to be. There's people in my life, I see them exactly the same, doing exactly the same thing they did last year. and the year before that, and the year before that. Their choices are all sort of the same thing that really don't take them to growth. A lot of time wasted. I just personally, I don't want to be that. I want to keep growing. And 20 years in this industry has absolutely propelled me to growth. You can't stay 20 years in a business like this and not grow. You would give up. You would just be like, I'm out. And that's often why people leave. They compare their success to somebody else's success, their first year of success to somebody else's 20 years. That's not fair. Their first month of success to somebody else's fifth year of success. That's not fair. Just be wise in who you're comparing yourself to, if at all. Evaluation is very different than that. So super thankful you all are on here today. Would love to continue this conversation if needed. I hope that it brought value to you. I'm going
Stacey.
Oh, yes. Go ahead, Sony.
Hi, Stacey. I just want to piggyback on what you said there. We've all heard comparisons, the thief of joy, emotional cancer, whatnot, but I love what my business coach has put in with me. She says, comparison is fine if it gives you energy. If it lights you up and moves you forward, then that's great. But if it's stealing your joy and, putting you in that negative Nancy state, then give it up.
A thief of joy. Sony, that's such, just keep that in your mind. That word picture, a thief of joy, that you've got joy and someone comes and takes it. No, that was my joy, right? But yet we let our own thoughts do that. What a great thing. The joy in our life, we don't want to let somebody else take that. Steal it. Don't let yourself steal it. We're a thief to our own joy sometimes. Great point. Absolutely. Does anyone else want to say something before we end? I don't want to cut anyone else off if you had something you wanted to share.
Hi, Stacey. This is Tap.
Hey, Miss Tap.
I'd like to just share that I learned in a course way back in the 90s that really helped me. The voice in your head was there to keep you safe as a child. Kept you from running in front of the car, kept you from doing things wrong that your mother wouldn't have liked. But its job as you become an adult is to keep you in your comfort zone, and you're not going to grow if you stay in your comfort zone. Life is going to be the same as it was yesterday, so it's comfortable. So once I got a grip on that, that's what the voice in my head was, then it's really easy to just tell it to shut up.
So true.
You're not in charge of me today. I understand what you're saying, voice, and I'm choosing to step out in this way.
So good. And I don't know.
As soon as you just decide it, it's so. It's what you think that runs your world.
So good. I think that that's a great reminder of where our mind likes to go. Our brain likes to stay where it's safe.
Yep.
And it wants to avoid pain, and it wants to use the least amount of energy that it can. So I don't know if you guys have noticed this with being a business owner, having your own business, entrepreneurship, network marketing is pretty much the opposite of all of those things every day. You have to lean into the discomfort of starting a conversation with someone. You're leaning into the pain, if you will. The pleasure is not immediate. You don't always get an immediate yes. It's a delayed reaction to the activity that you put in. So it's not pleasure immediately. And like I said, we're leaning into that discomfort. And there's a lot of brain power that's needed to learn new things, to, be able to do a presentation or share effectively. Like learning, there's a learning curve with having your own business, whether it's our business or any business. We have a couple of different businesses. It's always changing. There's always something else to learn. It's stepping into some avenue I've never been in before, but there's fun in that. To me, there's joy in that. I love the learning process, but it's all the opposite of where our brain wants to go. And so we're going to have to really press into, lean into, and just embrace okay, this is kind of hard. When you're feeling like, I don't know about this, like that's probably where you need to run, lean into that discomfort, because that's where growth is going to be. So thank you, Tap, for sharing that. I love that. All right, guys, I'm going to end this recording, but if you want to stay on, I want to share some exciting things with you too.